Hello guys, this is Modest Major here, bringing you some commentary over some 26-0 Oddball gameplay. This gameplay starts off a little bit rough, to be honest. I'm making a lot of mistakes. I haven't really got my shot on point, and my snipe is pretty darn cringeworthy. But as the game continues, I start to build up momentum and start making better decisions, and everything picks up just a little bit more. So, I hope you guys enjoy that. A couple of really nice snipes that I make, which I never would have thought I'd make in a million years. But, as you can see right before you, it starts off with some pretty cringe-worthy sniping. Don't know what's wrong with my brain right now. Like, that is me having a brain meltdown, to be honest. But whenever I play bad, it always seems to come back to me in a good way. You know, when I have a terrible, terrible start to a game, and I start making mistakes that I shouldn't, I usually get really angry at myself and I start making better decisions as a result. A lot of people don't know how to deal with anger and how to help that improve your gameplay. I feel like a lot of people start to beat themselves up and then they start making stupid decisions and getting in these patterns that they shouldn't be. It's like, oh, you know, I can't stop making mistakes. I'm just going to run at them and eventually I'll murder them. And that's definitely not what you should be doing. You should be aiming for the flanking routes and aiming to mix up your gameplay as much as possible. I've spoken about that previously, but I still think it's pretty darn integral to Halo gameplay. I want to talk about something else that is integral to Halo gameplay today. I'm trying to speak too fast. I need to calm it down a little bit. Something else that is integral to Halo gameplay, and it's something that I've noticed not only amongst beginners, but players who are pretty adept anyway, but they're trying to up their game. There's something about their game that's missing. And I feel like one of the biggest factors in becoming better at Halo 4 is risk management, and it's something that a lot of players haven't necessarily picked up to the nth degree. I can't tell you how many times I've played with players who have a great shot, and they have great communication. They've got a lot going for them as a player, but when it comes to, like, chasing down a player, they get one-track vision, and they're not necessarily thinking about, is this a good time to push, or is this a time when I should be pulling back? They just make decisions based on emotions rather than actual learned instinct and what the actual right call is. And I see this amongst just countless players, and it's something that I've had to learn a lot as well with Halo 4. You know, at the beginning of this game, I started off with terrible, terrible map movement. I didn't know the best flank routes yet, and I just thought, well, if I can beat a player one-on-one, then I should be fine. But that doesn't necessarily add up all the time, because obviously with sprint, you can get chased down pretty quickly. If someone calls you out, you are in a bit of a dangerous position, because players can get to you so quickly. So if you start you know, painting a target on your back and putting yourself in too much trouble, it's something that will just end up with you getting killed by the end. So you have to do this strategy of guerrilla warfare, in my opinion. And by guerrilla warfare, if you don't know what that term means, it means basically hit and run attacks. It's trying to get in from different flanks and do as much damage as you can in one single run. But the second you've had that run, the second you've finished it off, get out of there and make sure you don't, like, attack via the same route, because otherwise, you know, in Halo 4 you find people setting up for team shotting quite a bit. I remember when Halo 4 first came out, a lot of people who didn't necessarily know how Halo 4 worked had the biggest problems with getting team shot, and I was one of those people. I thought, you know, this game is pretty near impossible. Until I discovered regen and flanking routes, I had a very hard time being aggressive. Obviously, I came from Call of Duty, and Call of Duty, I'm one of the most aggressive players I know out there. I would just push, push, push. And going into Halo 4, you can push as much as you want to. You know, a lot of people say that sprint slows down gameplay. I don't think it does. I think it means you need to be more tactical with your aggressive play. But if you play an aggressive player on Halo 4, an aggressive player versus a campy player, I find that 9 times out of 10, the aggressive player will win. I always do. You know, me personally, it benefits me massively, and I feel like a lot of players will have a better shot than me, and maybe they have better strategic thinking than me, but I will just outplay them in terms of constantly pushing into their spawn and harassing them. Harassing is the correct word. You know, if you can harass as many players as you physically can, you can put the enemy team in a bit of a sore spot. Call of Duty has helped me in a lot of ways in terms of risk management, because obviously you have such low health that you're going into situations and you need to account for the fact that you could die at any moment, and you get into a lot of dangerous circumstances. So I've learned to prioritize. You need to be able to target players and say, who is the most dangerous person in this room right now? And your instinct should also be that every person in that room could potentially be dangerous. If you start underestimating players in a room, if you're in a room with 4 other people and you say, oh, that guy's no harm to me no matter what, you're in a bad position. But what you also should do and can do is rank them. Just say to yourself, you know, well, the guy with the light machine gun in the corner, let's say this was COD, the guy in the light machine gun, he's camping, he's already set up a defensive position, he is who I need to get rid of first, whereas the guy with the SMG running around in circles, he's getting distracted by other teammates, so he's not necessarily as much of a problem. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily always work out to your advantage. You can't tell the future, you can't predict the future, but if you keep trying to make these guesses and make these predictions of who is the biggest threat and how long can I stay in this room, you will eventually find yourself start to improve. But what you definitely don't want to do is get emotionally attached to the people that you're trying to kill and, you know, get too bloodthirsty. But what you also don't want to do is get too defensive and not be pushing enough. What you want to do is you want to find the best flank routes on each map, push from different directions, and keep up pressure, as much pressure as you can, because it will eventually start to see the enemy team crumble. I've been Modest Major, thanks for watching commentary, peace out.